U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has broken her silence following the operation by American forces that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Some people were curious to hear what the former Democrat turned Republican would have to say on the matter. She's known, of course, for being an anti-interventionist.
Following several days of silence after the raid, Gabbard took to X on Tuesday, writing, quote, "President Trump promised the American people he would secure our borders, confront narco-terrorism, dangerous drug cartels, and drug traffickers. Kudos to our servicemen and women and intelligence operators for their flawless execution of President Trump's order to deliver on his promise through Operation Absolute Resolve."
Some online sleuths went back to Gabbard's old tweets, finding several examples of her advocating against U.S. intervention in Venezuela particularly. In one post from 2019, Gabbard wrote, "The United States needs to stay out of Venezuela. Let the Venezuelan people determine their future. We don't want other countries to choose our leaders, so we have to stop trying to choose theirs."
Now, that post was made back when Gabbard was still a Democratic congresswoman representing Hawaii. She eventually left the Democratic Party in 2022 after an unsuccessful 2020 presidential campaign. In 2024, she joined the Republican Party and was nominated by President Trump as Director of National Intelligence following his reelection.
Meanwhile, Trump says that Venezuela will be handing over billions of dollars worth of oil to the U.S. in the aftermath of Maduro's capture. A post on Truth Social, he writes, "I'm pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the people of the United States."
But that announcement was not received well by many on the left. Writer Alex Cole saying, quote, "The open admission that he'll personally control the proceeds from seized foreign oil is mind-boggling. It's hard to imagine a clearer example of overt, out-loud corruption being treated like standard policy." And journalist David Frum says, quote, "I'm hoping this is a lie because if true, the U.S. has devolved to high-tech Somali pirates." So there's a couple things. With Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of what she said was like drugs, drugs, drugs. They're countering drugs and drug trafficking. I just want to understand what the coherent war on drugs policy is. If the president a few weeks ago pardoned the former president of Honduras for the same exact crime. No, I'm just saying it doesn't. What's the coherent policy? I'm being serious now.
I don't know why that pardon was done, but
it's not coherent policy then, because you're pardoning somebody who had very similar, if not more egregious crimes and was convicted by U.S. courts of similar, if not more egregious crimes. And so if he's fighting this big war on drugs and trying to knock this out, then why would you release the man who has to do even more?
He's not in charge of Honduras. It was about taking Maduro out, who was actually in a position to affect the drug trafficking in a way that U.S. authorities did not approve.
Or it's not about that at all, because we got this other announcement now to get to the second point of 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil. And we understand that yesterday when I was talking to you, you said, I don't see how this affects the oil companies. And I reminded you that in 2024, President Trump had a nice sit down with oil executives at Mar-a-Lago where he told them and convinced them to donate $1 billion to his campaign. And obviously that comes with some type of reciprocity. And so they're looking for their reciprocity now. And you're like, I'm not seeing oil companies jump on the bandwagon here. Well, yeah, he's laying out the plan this Friday. They have a meeting with all the oil executives on Friday at the White House to lay out how they first, yes, should invest in Venezuela, and they'll see their return on investment. And so when you have somebody in a U.S. jail that you now captured because of drug charges, and we know this is more about oil, that's where the problem is. So I said either lay out the coherent drug plan in the U.S. or release Maduro from the drug charges and say this is about oil. And we're just toppling dictators that we don't like because of oil.
Well, I think the issue is I'm now a little concerned that we're not actually going to go, I can't believe I'm saying this, but far enough, because we're not doing regime change is what it looks like. The regime is being left intact. This Delcy Rodriguez person who I understand is just as vile and authoritarian, just as merciless a tyrant as Nicolas Maduro was. We're going to allow her to remain in charge because she's being a little bit savvier with her handling of Trump, and there's going to be the oil transfer, and that's going to satisfy us. But we have this unique opportunity to effectuate actual change. I'm not saying I would have done any of this in the first place, or if I was going to do it, I would have brought it before Congress. But in for a penny, in for a pound, now that we've done it, we're going to not finish the job. We're going to let the socialist tyranny persist, even while Venezuelan people the world over are celebrating the fall of Maduro. They don't like Rodriguez either. Edmundo Gonzalez or Machado. Edmundo Gonzalez is a legitimate winner of the election, so he should be the leader. Or there should be a new election, which Machado would win. I don't know why. I would, before we just take the oil and go, let's pause a minute and say, are we going to wish we hadn't gone a little bit further? If we've gone this far, that's my thought this morning.
And I think there's merit to all the people that are celebrating, and it's worth noting that people did not want Maduro in charge, but to leave it in a state where
they don't want her in charge either.
I'm gonna say she's his right-hand woman, and she's saying one thing to the president, but going on national television in Venezuela for them and saying, release Maduro, and this is not right. We're not going to be governed by the U.S. in any way, and forcefully condemning the actions of the president. So it makes you wonder about what the next steps truly look like and how much friction will actually be there, and then how this plays out in the long term, because people don't truly have any freedom. You have to remember 80% of Venezuelans were in like economic decline or oppression. They felt like financially because of some of the decisions made by the Maduro regime. So if she's an extension of that, how does that change the lives? And I know the president is arguing that we didn't go in there for regime change, but to leave people who are now cheering your move in the same position, but maybe even worse, because it just exaggerates what's already happening. Nothing changed, and now the U.S. is controlling their oil. We don't know how that's going to look. How does that change the economic circumstance or the livelihoods of the people there that were cheering on President Trump? That can easily turn into anger and agitation, especially when he shunned the Nobel Peace Prize winner, who a lot of people do like there, who also is looked at from a lot of people, even Senator Rick Scott in Florida, as a good leader, a good possible next step, who's criticizing the president.
We can't
He's a Republican.
Install her because she hasn't won an election, but there should be a new election, or they should be governed by the person who actually won the last election, who's recognized as the legitimate leader. I'm worried that we're going to miss an opportunity here. And again, I am not for regime change. I would not have gone down this path in the first place, not without explicit authorization from Congress. But given that we've already done it, we already have Maduro in custody. I don't know that leaving this person in charge is such a great plan. And I don't, if it's just about plunder, that kind of cheapens our motivations. And, not to say that we're just pirates or something, but...
Somali pirates, as they said.
Yeah, we shouldn't just go and rob other people.
Well, I think a couple people have asked the president over the last few days on Air Force One and in different settings about specifically an election and what he plans for Venezuela. And he's like, oh, that's not on the radar right now, basically.
It was just about taking out Maduro is what it's increasingly sounding like from the Trump point of view, which is the only point of view that matters.
So there'll be limited or no democracy in the country that is likening the president is likening so much to the U.S. It's of the Americas, but they're still going to be operating.
Patrolling our hemisphere. It's still a rogue actor running the place.
Up next, Jasmine Crockett blasted Marjorie Taylor Greene on The View, but she also said she should be given some grace. Don't go anywhere.